What's up, guys? I'm Alex.
I'm Jason. We're the Table Monkeys, and we are here with a video to talk about running an arm wrestling club, martial arm wrestling, and basically kind of like the concept of introducing armbands, sort of like karate belts. How this idea sort of originated is that we've been running this club now for almost 5 years, or around 5 years, which is practices every week. We're in Toronto, it's a big city, so we have a lot of rotation, a lot of new people coming through the club, and knock on wood, thankfully, we've only had one arm break in practice up to this point. The other two arm breaks that we've been sort of responsible for or overseeing happen were during competition, so we consider those to be a little bit different. But in the 5 years, one of the main ways I think we've been able to accomplish that is that we're very aware and diligent about keeping beginners away from really having combative like battles on the table,
especially unsupervised.
Especially unsupervised. And we really instigate the idea of work and hold and teaching people that in the beginning. So even when two newer guys are competing, we try to get them,
but sparring.
Sparring, yeah, that's a better way to thank you. That's a better way to say it. When they are sparring, is kind of understanding the idea of not trying to overwork in a bad position. You know, there's certain things that we think you leave for actual competition when, something meaningful is on the line. When you're in practice, the goal is to improve and to get better so that you can compete. And though I think one of the main things that people fall in love with arm wrestling is that fight aspect of it and that going balls out aspect of it. But mitigating that a little bit between beginners is, I think, the way to keep people safe, right?
Yeah, and then it gives them somewhat of a goal to aspire to. Like if you climb up the rankings, then we won't be supervising you as much. We'll leave you alone a bit because we now trust you and you are more proficient now that we shouldn't have to worry about you.
And they get to see experienced guys sparring at a high level where we're really working each other, but also keeping each other safe. But then, getting intense at times where it's like a friendly battle, so to speak. And like Alex said, it gives them that to aspire to, of like, I want to become proficient enough where I feel comfortable doing that. Because we make people aware that the arm break is like the one thing that we all want to avoid. A, it sounds fucking horrible, and B, it's it's just a shitty thing.
Almost career ending.
Yeah, exactly.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know many people. I mean, people do come back from it, but it does defer a lot of people as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the ranking, the belt system, the armband system that we're using is very similar to how it would be in a martial art, and obviously we consider arm wrestling a martial art. So it just made sense to go with something like this to rank our team members.
Yeah.
So we have white, yellow, blue, red, black, and each belt represents a higher degree of skill and then also performance when you actually compete.
Yeah, so we wanted to come up with like a completely objective way to kind of look at the belts, but then also understand that there's going to be some subjective aspects to it as well, right? Yeah. So starting with white belt, that's obviously absolute beginner, right? And the beginner phase kind of lasts a bit of time. Like we said, when you have somebody who's come once every 6 weeks for 6 months, they're still a beginner, even if they, maybe there are exceptions to that. Maybe they've been arm wrestling at other clubs and they progress quickly. But if that's the only arm wrestling they've done and they're only taking it to that level of seriousness, the chances are they haven't improved enough to advance to a yellow belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we consider, again, speaking just objectively, and we'll talk about what the subjective input is later, but just objectively, a yellow belt would be having medaled at an amateur tournament or having won a match at a pro tournament.
Yeah, exactly. And then blue would be medaled at a pro tournament or won a provincial match.
Yeah, and then getting to red and black, red would be medaling at a provincials, and black belt would mean medaling at a nationals. And again, this is just our completely objective way of starting to block it out. But then the subjective part is kind of how well do people teach, how much have they been involved. So you might have somebody who comes every week, has been coming for a year, but hasn't really, they either don't compete well or they haven't taken competition seriously, but they've gotten proficient on the table, and we think that kind of puller could establish themselves up to the level of a blue belt, depending on how proficient they are.
Yeah,
right?
because their ability to teach others and help them climb the rankings, and just being a good member of the team, good member of the squad,
Of the club,
and
yeah.
being consistent.
And that's the main, again, objective of the belts, is to create an environment in the club where people can learn and progress, not only safely but efficiently and effectively. So again, the way we are starting to use the belts and plan to use the belts in practice would be like, if two white belts want to spar, a blue belt or a red belt has to be sort of supervising the table, right? And two yellow belts are allowed to spar against each other, but also then you can kind of gauge right off the bat, like, oh, I'm a yellow and you're a red, so you're obviously going to hold, I'm going to work, and then we can kind of play with things from there. And it's just we think it's going to be a good way to kind of make the practice more approachable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and give our members something else to aspire towards achieving.
Yes. So anyway, that's I think that's basically the video. That's our concept, our idea. Tell us what you think about it. Is it something you can see implementing in your club? Again, our club has so much rotation, being in a big city, so these are some of the things that we've had to do to adapt to where we can have a continuously open practice for anybody to come and join, as long as they're willing to pay the practice fee, but at the same time create an environment that is safe and approachable for everybody, right?
Yeah. So like the video, comment, subscribe,
All those things.
and monkeys out.